Did you have a tough time accepting the election results? Stay tuned for a reading that can give you some ideas about how to cope. Hi everybody, I'm Sue Ellen Clayton. Welcome to my channel where we're learning how to read tarot one card at a time. In today's reading, we'll be using a 5-card spread to analyze how to move forward following the United States presidential election. I will be using the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot, and there's a link below. I'm recording this on Wednesday, November 6, 2024. Yesterday was Election Day in the United States between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Depending on who was your candidate, you are either celebrating or deeply depressed. If you're celebrating, you can skip this video. I am in the deeply depressed category. I was up all night thinking and feeling, and I'll admit that I'm not in a great place today. However, this morning I did what I always do first thing in the morning. I did a tarot reading. And my question was, how do I cope with Trump winning the election? And I thought I would share it with you today. I think this is the first time I've done a video based on current events. It's also the first time I've shared a reading that was created when I was very tired and extremely emotional. So we'll see how it goes. At the very least, it will give you a structure if you want to do your own reading. Card number 1 looks at how I should cope physically. I drew the 8 of Swords reversed. Card number 2 looks at how I should cope mentally. I drew the 5 of Wands. Card number 3 looks at how I should cope emotionally. I drew Strength. Card number 4 looks at how I could cope spiritually. I drew the 8 of Pentacles reversed. And card number 5 looks at overall advice for dealing with the election results, and I drew Death reversed. Let's begin with my first impressions. As I said earlier, I'm pretty upset, so I'm not sure that I'll be impartial or if I'm just projecting my own feelings onto the cards. Except for Strength, I feel like there's a lot of unhappiness and strife in this reading. There's also elements of transformation, which indicates that there are lessons to be learned. We have 3 minor arcana cards: Swords, which represent thoughts, Wands, which represent action, and Pentacles, which represent health and also working. We are missing Cups, which is about love. We have 2 major arcana cards, Strength and Death reversed. These are about inner strength and transformation. Now let's look at each card individually. Card number 1 looks at how I should cope physically. I drew the 8 of Swords reversed. First, a bit of background. If you follow my channel, you know that I've faced a number of physical challenges over the last couple of years, and the cause has been kind of a mystery. Recently, I developed a lot of pain and swelling in my hands and feet and decided to see a rheumatologist. She sent me for blood work, x-rays, and ultrasounds, plus wanted consults with a few specialists. I don't have an official diagnosis from the rheumatologist yet, but the other specialists I've seen all agree that it's rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune condition that can damage your joints, generally beginning in your hands and feet. Let's just say that this was not on my bucket list. I've been reading about rheumatoid arthritis and also pain management, and one thing that I've learned is how much stress can exacerbate pain and inflammation. So last night I got up to use the bathroom at 2:30 a.m. and my husband told me that Trump had won the election. I went back to bed and the joints in my hands were on fire. It was definitely confirmation that, to cope physically, I need to control my stress level. So let's go back to the 8 of Swords. In the upright position, this card means that you are feeling trapped and you feel like you can't escape. However, being trapped is an illusion, as you can get out of the restraints and there is an opening in the swords through which you can escape. So it is a self-imposed prison. You have choices, you just don't see them. The 8 of Swords can also mean that you're feeling isolated, confused, or are avoiding taking responsibility, and it can indicate some kind of illness that keeps you restrained. For instance, I have a friend in Canada who's been on the list for heart surgery for more than a year. He was extremely active and has cycled all over the world. Now he's not allowed to do any kind of strenuous activity due to his heart issues. So that's an example of being restrained. When the Eight of Swords appears in a reverse position, it can have a similar meaning to the upright card, but it can also be accompanied by strong emotions that make things worse. So instead of my friend accepting that he needs heart surgery, for example, and has to wait a long time for it, he beats himself up for not seeing the doctor earlier or for personal choices that might have caused further damage. So I think the first message about how I can cope physically is that I shouldn't do things that will make my physical situation worse. And a biggie is to learn how to manage stress and to not internalize it. As I learned last night with my hands feeling like they were on fire, thoughts can trigger physical pain. Releasing these disempowering thoughts would lead to a reduction in pain. The other meaning of the Eight of Swords in the reverse position is about breaking through restraints that are keeping you stuck so that you can experience release, freedom, and liberation. So this message is about releasing tension from my body. One thing I keep reading about rheumatoid arthritis is that motion is lotion. In other words, you need to keep moving. I can't remain immobile like the lady on the card. Even though movement hurts, I need to figure out a gentle exercise program that will give my joints more freedom and flexibility. The Eight of Swords is also about resilience and overcoming limitations. This includes taking steps required to get yourself out of a tough situation. Yes, I have a lot of opinions about the election. I am disappointed and I'm afraid for the future, but I don't need to get stuck there. I need to examine my thoughts and figure out new beliefs that will not harm my body. In summary, I need to take a good look at how I'm taking care of myself if I want to cope well physically with the election results. This includes managing stress, doing gentle exercises, and releasing disempowering thoughts that no longer serve me. Card number 2 looks at how I could cope mentally. I drew the Five of Wands. In this card, we see adolescent boys fighting with their wands in the air. They are all facing different directions, and so are their wands. There's a lot going on, but none of the boys are getting anything accomplished. That's kind of what my brain feels like. Lots of thoughts are whirling around in my head, and lots of mental energy is being expended. Unfortunately, these thoughts aren't moving me forward, they're just exhausting me. If you've watched some of my videos, you'll know that I'm a planner, partially due to the fact that I have a lot of anxiety and like to think that I can control the future. So I'm highly skilled at viewing a situation and figuring out what the worst case scenario will be, and then pre-stressing about something that might not even happen. I think this is a message that I need to take action and get control of my thoughts. One thing I can do is to take a good look at what's going on in my head. Are these competing thoughts helping or hurting me? Clearly, I would be better off focusing my thoughts on things that I can control. It would also be helpful if I focused on what is happening now, not what I think might happen at some point in the future. I think this is key. Right now, nothing has changed. Joe Biden will still be president for a couple more months. Who knows what will happen between now and January? Does my mental anguish change anything? It does not. I think that getting control of my thoughts is key. The second thing that would help me cope mentally is meditation. I have done this in the past, and the course I took was called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, and a link to the Wikipedia page in the description. It really helped me, and studies show that it's beneficial in managing stress, anxiety, depression, and pain. Mindfulness-based stress reduction is all about noticing and accepting your thoughts, using self-compassion versus self-judgment. So when I have a fearful thought, I don't internally yell at myself for being afraid and saying that I'm an idiot for being fearful about something that hasn't happened yet. Instead, I talk to myself like I talk to a fearful child and would say something like, "It's okay to be scared. Everybody feels afraid at some point. You've made it through tough times before and you know what to do. Just breathe and go at your own pace. I've got your back." Another thing meditation helps with is staying in the moment, rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. That's because the focus is on what's happening right now. When you're focusing on your breathing and that warm spot in your arm where the heater is blowing warm air and the sound of the wind rustling through the trees, You're grounded in the present and not focused on something in the future. A third way to get control of my thoughts is by doing tarot readings for myself. I do one every morning. I'd say about 95% of these are very helpful, but I do get occasional readings where I wonder what the cards are trying to tell me. The final strategy I came up with is not to add fuel to the fire. Wands are made of wood and represent the element of fire. There are lots of opinions flying around today concerning the election. I decided I needed to turn inward and just focus on me and the people I live with. I haven't gone onto social media or looked at any online news sites. I also decided to stay away from the TV news for the near future. If something happens that I need to know about, I'll hear it. So I think I need to figure out strategies to calm my fighting thoughts. These include focusing on things I can control, meditating to manage stress, doing my daily tarot readings, and staying away from the news. Card number 3 looks at how I should cope emotionally. I drew strength. Strength is about feminine power that comes from within. It is very different from the brute force power that we associate with masculine power. In strength, we see a woman who has tamed the king of the jungle using a very light touch rather than using something like a whip that made the lion compliant due to fear. This card is a reminder that I can't force my emotions to be something they are not. Nothing good happens if I beat myself up because I don't like how I feel about the election, or I think that my feelings should be resolved more quickly. It would have taken the woman in strength a long time to train the lion. I think this is another message, and that's that I need to approach myself with kindness and patience, exactly what we talked about in the Five of Wands. Another thing is that the woman approaches the lion in a very calm manner. She's not lunging at him and cursing him out because he doesn't trust her enough. This is a message that I need to figure out a way to approach my emotions calmly. Practices such as meditation, journaling, or reading tarot cards are good ways to do this. The woman is bent forward and the lion is looking upward. This represents a balance of control and surrender. This is something to remember as I deal with my emotions. There will be times when I feel in control and times when I feel out of control, and I need to surrender to my feelings. If I allow this to happen, I will eventually get to a place of balance. Strength tells me that I need to approach my emotions gently and calmly and to be patient with myself. At times I will feel out of control, but if I'm patient and kind, eventually I will reach a more balanced state. You've made it this far in the video, and I wanted to stop and ask for a favor if you're not already a subscriber, and that is to please hit the subscribe button. It's free for you, and it will also help me to grow this channel. Plus, it means that you won't miss anything. Thanks so much, and if you're already a subscriber, I truly appreciate your ongoing support. Now let's get back to the video. Card number 4 looks at how I should cope spiritually. I drew the Eight of Pentacles reversed. In the upright position, the Eight of Pentacles is about working hard and learning new things that will improve your skills and talents. In this case, we see an apprentice. He has deliberately taken himself far away from the village. He's got only the tools that he requires. His head is down and he's extremely focused. This card is a reminder that mastering new skills, which includes deepening your connection with spirit, requires time, repetition, self-discipline, and practice. The meaning of the reversed Eight of Pentacles is the opposite. I think it means that I need to develop a more personal relationship with spirit that is based less on rules and goals and more on gentle, mutual support, like I saw in Strength. I need to talk to spirit and also listen to what spirit is saying. Rather than keeping my head down and being isolated from others, I need to integrate my relationship with spirit into my life. I feel like this is the same message that I've gotten from the previous cards. I need to approach my relationship with spirit gently and calmly, to give spirit a bigger focus in my life, and to be patient with myself. Card number 5 looks at the overall advice for dealing with the election results. I drew Death reversed. In the upright position, death is about swift changes, transformation, or rebirth. It can also symbolize things in our lives that need to end. and this generally includes addictions, bad habits, your job, or an unhealthy relationship. In rare cases, the death card can literally mean that someone is going to die, but this normally is someone who is elderly or quite ill. In the reverse position, the death card can indicate rebirth. It indicates that it's time to accept that change is inevitable and to move on to another phase of life. And I think that is the overall advice from this reading. The election is over. It's time to accept the new reality and move forward, even if I don't want to. A therapist friend of mine always refers to AFGOs, which is an acronym for Another Effin' Growth Opportunity. If you believe that humans are on Earth to learn lessons, which I do, then this is an opportunity for me to learn some big lessons. So let's summarize. How do I cope with Trump winning the election? Card number 1, the Eight of Swords reversed, looks at how I should cope physically. I need to manage stress, do gentle exercises, and release disempowering thoughts that no longer serve me. Card number 2, the Five of Wands, looks at how I should cope mentally. I need to focus on things that I can control, meditate to manage stress, do tarot readings to provide more insight into my thoughts and feelings, and stay away from the news. Card number 3, Strength, looks at how I should cope emotionally. Strength tells me that I need to approach my emotions gently and calmly and to be patient with myself. Card number 4, the Eight of Pentacles reversed, looks at how I should cope spiritually. I feel like this is the same message I've gotten from the previous cards. I need to approach my relationship with Spirit gently and calmly, to give Spirit a bigger focus in my life, and to be patient with myself. And finally, card number 5 looks at overall advice for dealing with the election results, and I drew Death reversed. The message is that I need to accept that change is inevitable, look upon this as a growth opportunity, and accept that it's time to move on to another phase of my life. I hope that this video gave you some ideas that you can apply when you hit tough times in your life. Please leave a comment if you'd like to share what you learned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.